A Steam Seeker's Adventure, the Kinetica Mountains, an introduction to phases and changes of matter, written by Tanya Torchlight. Canceled projects. This adventure started with an email, not a blinking red light, not a horrendous siren blast, just one simple email. Dr. Archie Gearsmith glared at his computer screen, one hand gripping an oversized mug of coffee, the other frantically working his mouse. He drained the last drop of his caffeinated breakfast, slammed the mug onto his desk, and groaned. Hector stepped up behind him.
What's up?
Dr. Gearsmith pointed at the screen and sighed. Supply chain. Notice, critical element shortage. Your order of tantalum is on back order until further notice. Demand has exceeded supply. Hector rubbed his forehead. He had been working 20-hour days optimizing every CPU, installing fiber optic lines throughout Truthspire, designing the network architecture, configuring massive cooling arrays in the underwater data storage tank, and had just started building the GPUs, which required tantalum to complete. The GPUs were the powerhouse behind their upcoming machine learning projects. The entire initiative, every part of it, was now at a dead stop. Hector slumped into a chair. Frustration welled inside him, and he hoped he wouldn't cry. He was too old for that kind of thing, and Thomas would definitely tease him. Rose noticed his sudden shift in mood and rushed over to Dr. Gearsmith's desk.
What's going on?
Hector threw up his hands.
I even rigged an emergency subcooling system that could chill a supernova. I've thought of everything.
Rose wrinkled her nose.
Hector, what is it?
Dr. Gearsmith shook his head, sympathy in his eyes.
We can't get tantalum. Our order was canceled. It's out of stock. Everywhere.
Hector stood and began pacing.
Every component, from the tiniest resistor to the largest memory bank, has been meticulously integrated. I've been picturing the moment we flip the switch, the AI roaring to life, ready to tackle Truthspire's biggest challenges. And now?
He rifled through a stack of papers, flicked away a ball of tangled wires.
All of it. Wasted. Because of a few grams of metal.
Hector, we'll get the tantalum eventually, or we'll use something else.
Rose said gently.
Your effort isn't wasted.
We'll figure out something, boy.
Gearsmith added, already pacing. Occasionally, he rushed over to tap at his keyboard, then circled the lab, scratching his beard. Thinking. Plotting. Hector grumbled as he gathered tools from the workbench and dropped them into his kit.
Without those capacitors, the power delivery isn't stable enough. Not for the kind of speed and accuracy we need.
Rose, loyal and calm, stayed by his side. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, her brow furrowed with understanding.
I do know how you feel.
You couldn't possibly understand,
he muttered. She sighed, her gaze softening.
Remember when I was cultivating the Lumina lily? Its bioluminescence was critical for the Deep Cave Agriculture project. I spent months perfecting the soil, the humidity, the exact spectrum of light it needed. I had everything, the nutrients, the airflow, even the right ultrasonic frequency. But then I found out it wouldn't grow without a microscopic mycorrhizal fungus, one that only grows in the volcanic ash of the Whispering Peaks.
She paused, lost in the memory.
All my perfectly engineered systems meant nothing without that one tiny living thing.
Hector groaned.
Rose. That's a terrible story to remind me of right now.
She blinked, startled.
Why?
We had to cancel that project because of that fungus.
Oh.
She winced.
Yeah, I know. At least your project has hope. We will eventually get the tantalum.
Call the team.
Dr. Gearsmith called out.
We've got a detour ahead.
You have a solution?
Hector spun around, hopeful.
Maybe. Let's get everyone together. It's dangerous.
A dangerous idea. The truth seekers trickled into the central hub of the lab. Adamus rolled in on a levitating skateboard, ollieing around corners, dodging and leaping over cluttered benches.
You're gonna break something, Atomus.
Tinky jumped out of his way with a groan.
Nah, I've surfed electron orbitals. This is baby stuff.
He rounded the edge of a lab bench and clipped a graduated cylinder with his finger. It clattered into a metal tray, making everyone jump. Adamus hopped off his board, arms raised.
I'm done, I promise.
Gearsmith didn't raise his voice.
Nothing broke, this time. But Atomus, lab safety. You know better.
Atomus slunk into a chair. The ominous email was now projected on the big screen.
We're short on Tantalum.
Gearsmith began. Arya raised a skeptical brow.
Didn't you secure a shipment last month?
I did,
He said.
but the market shifted. Something's up in the supply chains. And we're not exactly a priority client for the big vendors.
The inventory probably got scooped by the Rathmore Data Arms Syndicate.
Rose muttered.
Or the quantum cartel.
Hector added darkly.
It doesn't matter. We can't change any of that.
Gearsmith said, brushing off the speculation with a calm wave.
What matters is, I found a source, and we can afford it.
He tapped the screen again. A glowing topographic map bloomed to life, jagged peaks in an arcing line. Arya's expression dropped.
The Kinetica Mountains? I'm not flying there. Not at this time of year.
She crossed her arms firmly. Tinky stopped rummaging through her bag.
Of course not. Right, Doctor?
They're stable, for now.
Gearsmith said.
In the cold season, the rocks are locked in tight crystalline lattices, like solids. No movement. You can fly over or cross them.
But summer's coming.
Arya snapped.
The mountains have already started acting like liquids.
Exactly.
Gearsmith zoomed in.
Still dense, but beginning to shift. Perfectly safe for flying over.
Perfectly safe?
Arya flung her head back in outrage.
Let's not forget that in the next phase they behave like gas particles. Only, they're not harmless little molecules. They're rocks, chunks of earth hurling through the air. Every day that passes, they gain energy. They accelerate.
Rose nodded.
We could get caught in the gas phase. It's avalanche meets blender. Seismic chaos and goodbye truth seekers.
Let me get this straight.
Atomus said.
You want us to go on a death mission? For a few grams of grimy old metal?
Hector stood and raised his arms.
Everyone calm down.
Tinky unwrapped a piece of gum and popped it in her mouth.
Oh, perfect. The phrase calm down. A classic move when you're ignoring basic survival instinct.
Adamus chuckled, drumming his fingers against the arms of his chair. Hector was a whirlwind at the screen, tapping, swiping, and pulling up layer after layer. Weather maps, data center blueprints, network flow charts, and a live satellite feed of the Kinetica mountain range. Then he turned to face his colleagues.
Listen, we have to get this AI system built. Agreed?
Everyone nodded, though their expressions held varying shades of concern.
Yes, of course we do.
Hector pressed on. His brown hair was a wild mess, glasses slipping to the end of his nose. He looked every bit the brilliant, overworked genius, like a mathematician on the verge of discovering the secrets of the universe.
We need our AI model trained and deployed before anyone in Rathmore gets there first. You all know what it means. Whoever hits that vertical slope of AI perfection becomes the Prometheus of our generation.
A collective murmur of agreement rippled through the room.
If we want truth, God's truth, woven into the next century's foundation, then we can't wait. We have to lead. We need the tantalum. And we needed it yesterday.
He's right.
Arya said firmly, her earlier resistance melting into resolve. Her support lit a fire in Hector. A shimmering weather map exploded across the screen as he continued.
Look, 6 days until the solar index spikes. We only need 2 days. The Kinetica Mountains?
He smirked, cocky and confident.
Easy peasy.
Very convincing argument, Hector.
Dr. Gearsmith replied, half smiling.
So here's the plan. An old friend of mine, Gideon Quartz, lives near the Central Ridge. He's been refining raw tantalum from the mountain for years. Totally off-grid, no registration, low profile. He has what we need, and he's willing to trade.
Trade for what?
Tinky asked, her tone cautious.
He needs help moving some equipment. Says it'll only take a few hours. The man lives alone, and he's not getting any younger. He just needs a few strong backs.
Adamus flipped his skateboard over, hopped on, and spun in place.
So, when do we leave?
Rose pushed in her chair with quiet precision.
The sooner, the better. Or at least as soon as Tanya gets here. She must go with us.
She gestured towards the old doctor.
You know what he always says. History loves an eyewitness.
Tanya arrives. By the time my phone rang, the countdown had already begun, which meant I was already behind.
Tanya, it's Adamus. We have a situation. Tantalum, Kinetica Mountains. Need you here now, fast as your drone can fly.
My fingers fumbled with the phone. The words Kinetica Mountains sent an icy shiver down my spine. I scrambled to gather my notebook and essential travel equipment, shoving them into my worn backpack. Moments later, I was in my drone, lifting off into the hazy sunset. Below, the landscape blurred into darkness as I pushed the drone's engines to their maximum, racing towards Truthspire Castle. Operation Tantalum wasn't just about rare metals. It was about holding on to humanity's last chance to anchor hope in something good, before it slipped from our hands forever. I landed my drone with a jolt on Truthspire's launch pad, the magnetic clamps catching with a satisfying thunk. Inside the castle, the familiar hum of machinery was underscored by a new tension. The deep thuds of closing cabinets and the light tinkle of shuffling glassware told me that everyone was hastily prepping the castle for an absence. I found a pile of backpacks and computers lumped carelessly outside the central lab, and I dashed inside. The ominous email with the bold words, "Supply Chain Notice," was still glaring from the main screen. Hector was pacing from one control panel to another like a coiled spring of frustration, while Atomus bounced with restless energy but seemed to accomplish nothing. Even Rose, usually so calm, kept tapping her foot as she waited in front of a glowing screen for the automated watering application to confirm the new instructions she had programmed. Dr. Gearsmith, his silver curls slightly disheveled, clapped me on the shoulder.
Tanya, good you're here. Let me brief you while they are finishing up.
He gestured to a holographic map full of jagged peaks shimmering in the corner of the large workspace.
The Kinetica Mountains
He began, his voice firm.
present our only viable source of tantalum. My old friend, Gideon Quartz, lives near the central ridge. He's been refining raw tantalum from the mountain for years. He has what we need, and he's willing to trade for some assistance moving equipment around in his lab. We are all going on this trip. Shouldn't be longer than 48 hours. With all the upgrades Hector has installed, Truthspire can handle itself.
Into the shifting peaks. Hector clapped his hands together confidently.
Everything is set. Let's go.
Arya, already at Tranquillum's controls, double-checked all the gauges, then triple-checked them. Her usual chipper attitude was tempered by the stark reality.
We've got an 8-hour flight, folks. Get comfortable.
Comfortable is hardly the word to describe what's on my mind right now.
Rose murmured as she buckled her restraint.
And leaving at night probably wasn't the best idea.
The stars glistened around them, innocent, unbothered, as if this night was no different than any other night. The hum of Tranquillum's engines filled the cabin, a low growl that vibrated through the floor beneath their feet. Outside, the inky blackness of night pressed against the reinforced windows, punctuated only by the occasional twinkle of a distant sun or a moonbeam that snuck through the clouds. The hours passed easily. The gentle glide of the airship lulled them to forget where they were headed.
Rough ride ahead, folks.
Arya's voice, usually so bright, crackled over the intercom. She gripped the controls, her knuckles white.
These updrafts are something else. Kinetica's already getting active. More than we thought.
That's impossible,
Retorted Atomus as he joined her in the cabin.
especially at night. Things ought to be smooth as butter.
Suddenly, the airship lurched violently. A few loose items clattered across the floor. Hector grunted as he strapped himself tighter into his seat. A second whirl of turbulence shook Thomas to the floor, but his gaze remained fixed on the complex atmospheric readings that flickered across a screen.
Look!
He pointed to the screen as he scrambled to his feet.
It's 20 degrees warmer than it should be. What the heck is going on?
Dr. Gearsmith lurched from seat to seat as he maneuvered towards the cabin to see for himself. He gasped.
Then we have to turn around. We have to go back.
I can't!
Arya screamed.
I don't know which way we are going. My gyro took a tumble. I'm not sure if it's accurate.
She groaned.
And I can't think with everyone talking.
Dr. Gearsmith solemnly took his seat as another updraft swung the plane onto its side. Suitcases broke open. Computers clattered against the windows. This was it. This was the end.
Dear Lord,
Exclaimed Tinky.
we need your assistance down here. You designed every atom, every force, and even these wildly shifting mountains.
She gasped as the plane suddenly swooped into a nosedive.
We're relying on your perfect design and on the engineering you've inspired us to build. Guide Captain Arya's hands on the controls and move this ship safely over these mountains.
The plane gracefully leveled itself out, smooth, gentle, as if God's own hand had reached down and made things right. Tinky sighed happily as she continued.
Keep our components, both mechanical and biological, functioning optimally so we can continue to seek out the incredible truths you've woven into creation. Please keep us safe, Lord, and bring us back to Truthspire, every single bolt and atom. Amen.
Amen! We cheered. Momentary safety.
My gyro and compass are both holding true. That's good news.
Arya's voice cut through the air from the cockpit.
The temperature's dropped too. Doctor, should I turn back or do we press on?
Dr. Gearsmith surveyed our faces, silently gauging our resolve.
Keep going.
Hector urged, his gaze fixed forward.
God is in control.
Tinky reminded us, her voice calm amidst the airship's hum.
I believe he intends for us to complete this mission.
Of course he does.
Adamus cheered, a wide grin stretching across his face. He flung out his arms playfully.
Geological roller coaster, here we come.
Thomas, less cheering, more securing loose gear.
Tinky snapped, already springing from her seat. She moved with surprising agility, darting through the cabin, relatching equipment.
We don't need a wrench flying through someone's skull.
Dr. Gearsmith nodded.
The consensus is we keep going.
He settled into a seat and focused his attention on an open map of the Kinetica range in his lap, his finger tracing a path.
I don't understand the temperature change. Could it be volcanic?
Rose slid into the seat beside him.
The Kinetica Mountains lie over a tectonic boundary, so that's a possibility, but there's no evidence of active volcanoes. All the rock here is metamorphic, formed by the intense pressure of plates squishing together. We'd see more igneous rocks if there were active volcanoes.
How do you know all that?
Hector asked, his eyes widening with curiosity. Rose wrinkled her nose.
I hiked these mountains back in college during a winter exploration course. We were studying the plant life in the area, but the geology was part of that, so I was forced to learn about rocks too.
She pushed out her tongue in mock disgust.
Interesting.
Gearsmith mused.
I didn't think the mountains could support much life given their erratic seasonal behaviors.
They can't. Not much, anyway. But there is one tiny marvel, the flux florate.
Rose pulled up a vibrant display of a delicate flower on her tablet.
It's a wonder. Its roots are shallow but vast, with special magnetoreceptors. When the mountain shifts, these roots instantly deploy tiny barbed filaments, like microscopic anchors, to grip the moving ground. It literally rides the tremors instead of being torn apart.
Hector leaned closer, intrigued.
So, it flexes with the flux?
Exactly.
Rose beamed.
And its stems are segmented, with fluid-filled bladders. They absorb the energy, letting the stem bend and twist without snapping. When the ground starts to really churn, it can even retract into a tough, seed-like pod just below the surface, waiting out the chaos in a kind of suspended animation.
Efficient.
Hector nodded, a rare smile touching his lips.
Living shock absorbers. Brilliant.
Rose continued.
It also has a symbiotic relationship with extremophile bacteria on its roots. These bacteria break down newly exposed rock, letting the flux florid absorb rare minerals. The more the mountain moves, the more it feeds. It doesn't just survive. It's designed to thrive on the very instability that would destroy anything else. A testament to creation's incredible adaptability.
God never runs out of interesting ideas, does he?
Hector laughed. The chemist's cavern. After what felt like an eternity, the oppressive darkness outside slowly gave way to a glorious purple dawn. Through the thinning clouds, the Kinetica Mountains below became visible, not as the jagged solid peaks seen in pictures, but as vast undulating slopes, their surfaces rippling in slow motion, like a colossal, glassy ocean of rock. Arya let out a sigh of relief.
All right, team. We made it through and we're approaching Gideon's coordinates now. Looks like a landing strip on a flat plateau. I hope he has a mega-sized garage. My girl's not sleeping outside.
Hector tapped his tablet screen.
Satellite imagery shows his compound is built into the mountain itself using natural caverns. Looks like a hangar, but probably for something half this size.
As the Tranquillum descended, a lone structure on the side of the mountain came into view. Twisting scaffolding wrapped around a crater-like entry. Steam jetted from ground vents, and somewhere inside, the faint clang of metal on metal confirmed they'd reached their destination. They touched down with a meaty thud. Arya stomped the brakes, jerking the team and their supplies side to side. No one moved. Then, hobbling out of the dusty mist came a figure dressed in thermal gear 3 sizes too big, with a scorched lab coat flapping behind him and a neon bike helmet tilted sideways on his mop of gray hair. He waved cheerfully, like this was a family picnic. Arya steered the aircraft toward him. As they rounded the last rocky edge, the mountainside yawned open to reveal a massive cavern, just big enough for the Tranquillum. The ship slid inside, nose to nose with Gideon's plane, with mere inches to spare. When Arya cut the engines, the craft groaned in relief. Dr. Gearsmith practically tripped down the aisle and flung open the door.
Gideon, my dear friend.
Archie,
The old man beamed.
welcome to my chemist's cavern.
He threw his one good arm around Gearsmith and squeezed. The other arm hung stiffly at his side.
I see you've brought an entire circus.
The corners of Gideon's eyes crinkled with a smile.
You're the one in costume.
Gearsmith said, eyeing the helmet. Gideon tapped it proudly.
One rock to the head 'll change your whole world view. I've been faithful to the helmet ever since.
Thomas coasted out on his hoverboard, eyeing the limp arm.
So, did a rock hit your arm too?
Nope. Different disaster. Come on, let's get inside before the mountain sneezes.
Shouldn't we close the hangar?
Arya asked, glancing back.
Soon. First, I need help with the nitrogen line. My slider door's kept cold by liquid nitrogen. If it warms up,
He pointed at the thick metal roofing above their heads.
that slab melts right back into the mountain. And we definitely won't have a door.
They followed him into a narrow tunnel that smelled like old metal and damp moss. Frost clung to the walls. Somewhere ahead, a rhythmic drip, drip, echoed like a ticking clock. The tunnel opened into a frigid lab full of tangled wires, sprouting plants, and bubbling vials. Lights flickered under ice-slicked stone. It looked like an Arctic greenhouse collided with a science fair on caffeine.
Oh, should have warned you.
Gideon said casually.
Don't touch the walls. The outer shell's frozen rock, but underneath is a special amorphous alloy. It strengthens with impact, but I keep this outer rock icy cold, just in case the alloy fails.
Of course, Thomas had to get as close to the walls as possible to inspect them.
Whoa. So, behind this rock is a substance that actually gets stronger when hit? That's perfect for these mountains.
Dr. Gearsmith smiled proudly. Gideon, your brilliance is showing again. You've made the chaos of these mountains work in your favor.
Yeah, well, brilliance bites back. In the winter, when the mountains calm down, there's not enough pressure to keep the alloy solid. It softens, slips, and starts burrowing into my basement. That's something else I need help with, getting the barrels back upstairs.
Please tell me there's an elevator.
Tinky groaned, hugging herself against the chill.
There is. Normally, I operate it solo, but with this bum arm, I can't do it.
He winced as he tried to rotate his shoulder.
So, how'd you hurt it?
Thomas asked, already poking at a bubbling blue flask.
Explosion? Avalanche? Rogue element?
Gideon snorted.
Nothing cool like that. I'll tell you, but first, let's eat. I made breakfast for you.
That got everyone's attention. They followed him deeper into the cavern, toward the flickering glow of a dining alcove that smelled like cinnamon and butter. A table was already set with mismatched plates and cups of shimmering orange juice.
Eat first.
Gideon said, waving them in.
Then we save my cavern.
Dogs and data. Gideon leaned back in the creaky wooden chair at the head of the table, his arm resting stiffly against his side. A faint grin crept across his face as he watched us devour the breakfast feast he had prepared.
Dixie's been at the front gate all morning,
he said, voice gravelly but warm.
She's my cattle dog, smarter than most folks I know, keeps the critters from wandering in uninvited.
I swallowed the last bite of pancake, raised my brows and asked, You have a dog? I didn't see her. Gideon sighed and a flicker of regret passed across his face.
She hasn't left the gate since yesterday.
The team paused mid-bite, concern and curiosity spreading around the table. Hector cleared his throat and dabbed at his lips with a napkin.
Is that unusual? Is something wrong?
Long story, I guess. My partner's crew brought a dog for the season. Big old brute, good temperament. He and Dixie hit it off fast, and by spring, we had 5 pups running amok through this place. You can imagine how that went.
You have puppies?
Rose squealed, peering around the room and down the hallway.
Where are they?
Gideon shifted in his seat with a wince.
I'll show you. Just finish your meal and let me tell you how I hurt my arm.
The team nodded. Hector spread a generous glob of butter on a warm, flaky biscuit and ate it slowly as he listened.
A few weeks ago, the weather reports started getting strange. Said Kinetica Mountain might flare again. You know how the tectonic plates are on the move, volcanic noise, strange spikes in wind velocity, and to top it off, my plane's having trouble starting, so we weren't even sure I could fly them out. My partner's crew didn't want to risk getting trapped here all summer, so they left on foot.
And took all the puppies?
Rose whined. The old man shook his head, clearly annoyed.
No. They packed light, took the male dog and one of the pups, left the rest.
So you have 4 puppies now?
Tinky asked, leaning closer.
Had 4.
Gideon said quietly.
Yesterday, one ran off into the mountains. I tried to go after her, but
He looked down at his wrapped arm, shame creeping into his voice.
I tripped over one of the others and twisted my elbow good. I kept searching for a while, but I didn't want to risk getting hurt worse, especially over a dog that's caused nothing but problems.
I stood up immediately, my gut twisting. I couldn't bear the thought of a little puppy stranded out in the lonely, dangerous mountains. We can look for her. She can't have gone far. Gearsmith shook his head.
No time. We're here to fix the nitrogen lines and secure the alloy. We can't risk our safety for a dog. She'll come back eventually.
But, I stammered, but there's nothing to eat out there. Rose slid up beside me, hands on her hips.
That little baby won't survive. She'll be smashed by a boulder. We have to find her.
Gideon stood and gave a tired smile.
She is a smart little pup. Might find her way back.
He patted me on the shoulder.
I'd be mighty grateful if you took one of the others home, or two. They're smart, hardy, easy to train.
No, no, no!
Dr. Gearsmith snapped.
We're getting off track. Our laboratory is no place for dogs. That was not part of the deal.
Calm down, Archie. I'm not saying you have to take one,
Gideon said, smirking.
but look at these girls. They'd love to have a dog around, or two.
The team broke into cheers and excited chatter, but Hector and Gearsmith stood firm. A dog, they argued, would hinder every bit of progress.
Truthspire just isn't set up for dogs.
Hector said adamantly, as if that settled it. But I wasn't a resident of Truthspire. I could make my own choices, and I wasn't about to mention that just yet. Instead, I quietly resolved to work as fast as possible. I would make time to find that missing puppy. I wasn't leaving the Kinetica Mountains without her. The Outsider. The crew worked fast. Dr. Gearsmith, Hector, and Thomas repaired the nitrogen lines, finally sealing the hangar bay doors, which put Arya at ease. Meanwhile, Gideon led Rose, Tinky, and me down a narrow path of curving rock ledges into the dark, echoing basement.
I thought there was an elevator.
Tinky said, eyeing the steep descent.
There is,
Gideon grunted.
but I like to save energy and only use it when required.
Once we reached the bottom, he barked out orders to Rose and Tinky about how to handle the heavy barrels of amorphous goop. They had to tip them carefully, roll them upright, and edge them awkwardly onto a lifting platform. I stood off to the side, as usual, taking notes. Gideon's eyes narrowed.
Why aren't you helping?
Oh, me. I looked up. I'm just here to document everything. Without warning, the old man snatched my notepad and pen. He held them at arm's length, squinting as he read.
What are you documenting? Who are you? A journalist?
She's the very best, sir.
Rose offered. But that only made him bristle more. He shoved us all onto the platform, punched the up arrow, and muttered furiously under his breath about Archie's poor judgment, bringing a journalist into a secret operation. We tried to explain that I wasn't that kind of journalist, that I only recorded our missions for private records. But Gideon was so worked up, nothing we said landed. When the elevator reached the top floor, he blocked us from stepping off. He raised his voice and yelled through the stairwell.
Archibald Gearsmith, get in here right now.
Dr. Gearsmith arrived breathless, alarmed at the sight of us still trapped on the elevator and Gideon seething.
Gideon, what on earth is the problem?
The old man yanked my arm.
She's the problem, a journalist. You brought a Rathmore journalist into my cavern.
Gearsmith held up both hands.
Old man, you've lost it. Tanya's my journalist, for my research files.
Gideon's grip tightened.
She probably works for the Rathmore Gazette. Is that it?
His eyes flared with fear and fury as they locked on mine. No, sir, I said quietly. I don't work there anymore. Gearsmith stepped in, pulling my arm gently from Gideon's clenched hand.
Gideon, look at me. Do you honestly think I'd bring an outsider into the refuge you've built with your own hands? Yes, she was with the Gazette, but now she's like all of us. She's seeking truth. You'll just have to trust me.
Gideon sank into a chair, head hanging between his knees.
I suppose I've been holed up here too long,
He mumbled. Then he looked at me again and sighed.
Guess I've got no choice but to trust you.
The room went quiet. Tinky broke the tension with a clap of her hands.
So, where does this goop go? We'll get it unloaded and then we need to move on to the Tantalum.
The boys are working on that now.
Gearsmith said, adjusting his glasses. Just then, a Thomas jogged into the room. He wore a casual smile, but something was off. Too relaxed, too forced.
Hey, Doc, can I see you for a sec? We're, just trying to get this payload balanced.
He fidgeted with the edge of his shirt. Gearsmith nodded.
Gideon, go get your barrels upstairs. I'll handle this.
With that, Rose, Tinky, Gideon, and I stepped back onto the elevator and headed upstairs. Stolen goods.
Slow down!
Called Dr. Gearsmith, hurrying after a Thomas into the hangar. Adamus looked over his shoulder, clearly unsettled.
Look at this.
He said, pointing to the side of a crate packed with tantalum bars.
Order numbers. See that?
Just then, Hector appeared at the top of the Tranquillium steps, tablet in hand. He was breathless.
I checked.
He said, swiping through his screen.
These crates match some of our canceled orders.
Gearsmith blinked.
That doesn't make any sense.
Adamus leaned in close.
Do you think your old buddy hijacked this stuff? Because if he did, we're about to transport stolen goods across state lines. That's a felony, Doc.
I don't like the sounds of that.
Hector added, pushing his glasses higher up the bridge of his nose.
Not one bit.
Nearby, Arya, who had just finished inspecting the plane, glanced up.
And where are those dogs Gideon mentioned? I haven't heard a single bark.
Gearsmith suddenly went pale.
The girls. I left them alone with him.
He bolted back inside. The others followed, tension rising with every step. They found Gideon and the girls just returning from upstairs. As the elevator eased to a stop, the four stepped off slowly, freezing when they saw Gearsmith and the rest rushing toward them.
What's wrong?
Rose asked, alarmed.
Over here, quick!
Adamus said, ushering the girls behind him. They moved without hesitation, leaving Gideon standing alone in the middle of the room. He looked bewildered.
You're not here to rob me, are you?
No.
Gearsmith replied firmly.
You know I don't do that kind of thing. But I can't say the same for you.
Gideon looked hurt.
What are you talking about?
The tantalum.
Said Hector. His tone was sharp, accusatory. Gideon furrowed his brow.
You couldn't find it?
No, we found it.
Hector said.
We found our order numbers on your crates.
Gideon blinked.
You think I stole them?
Adamus crossed his arms.
Well, obviously.
Gideon took a cautious step forward, voice steady.
It's mine. I'm the primary supplier in this region. I sell to your local vendors, the middlemen. Those crates were scheduled for pickup 3 weeks ago. But when my plane broke down and the crew had to leave on foot, I had no way to move the cargo. Too heavy. Your local vendors cancelled.
Gearsmith exhaled and rubbed his temples.
That actually makes perfect sense.
Gideon gave a weary laugh.
Have we all lost our minds?
The tension broke as the others laughed nervously, embarrassment giving way to relief. But Arya's voice cut through.
Where are the dogs you mentioned?
Follow me.
Gideon said. He led them through a narrow side tunnel that opened into a small, windswept cave nestled against the mountainside. There, in the soft dirt and sun, was Dixie, the cattle dog, pacing anxiously while 3 tiny pups tumbled at her feet. Rose and Tanya immediately dropped to the ground, scooping up the puppies with delighted squeals. Dixie's striking blue eyes watched them carefully, but didn't interfere.
They're adorable.
A Thomas said, crouching to scratch the smallest one's belly. Using a baby voice, he cooed.
But you'd make so many messes, wouldn't you?
Tanya, still kneeling, looked up at Dixie and out into the endless mountain range beyond. Do you think she could find the missing pup if you let her go? Gideon shook his head.
I can't risk it. She's all I've got left. She's my family.
Tanya stood and dusted off her pants. Then I'm going. It wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't a request. It was a polite statement of fact. When Dr. Gearsmith didn't object, Rose and Tinky didn't hesitate a moment longer.
We're going too.
The thought of that lost little puppy tugged at their heartstrings.
20 minutes. Tops.
Arya warned.
The sooner we're back at Truthspire, the better.
We've risked enough already,
Muttered Hector, clearly anxious to return to his GPU setup.
I've got helmets you can take.
Gideon called after them. But the girls were already rushing into the wild. Thomas grabbed his hoverboard and kicked it into gear.
I'm coming too.
He sped after them, disappearing from view. The others stayed behind, watching the mountains, worry etched into the lines of their faces. The lost one. The four of us hurried into the desolate stretch of the Kinetica Mountains, boots crunching on loose gravel. Boulders occasionally launched skyward around us, but they moved slow enough to dodge easily.
We should have worn helmets.
Adamus muttered, weaving between us on his hoverboard. Why? I asked. We can see them coming,
Yeah, slow ones.
he said.
It's the fast ones you don't see, the invisible ones.
Invisible?
Tinky asked, kicking a pebble along the path.
You're just trying to scare us.
No, I'm not.
He said, circling us lazily.
You can't see air, right? Gas phase particles move fast, sometimes faster than your eyes can track. There are always a few high-energy particles in every sample, even these mountains.
I didn't think of that, I murmured, scanning the vibrating ridges nervously. But the mountains aren't that active yet, right?
Nah,
Thomas shrugged.
chances are low, but if just one fast-moving rock hits us, we'll be splattered like bugs on a windshield.
I glanced back toward the chemist's cavern, then shook off the thought. We weren't turning back. Not while that little pup was still out there. Let's move fast, I said. We spread out, calling gently, scanning the trail's edge, searching behind piles of rubble and under ledges. No prints, no sound, just cold wind and barren soil. Adamus zoomed ahead on his board, disappearing around the bend. 10 minutes later, he returned on foot, sweaty and out of breath, his hoverboard tucked under his arm.
Battery's dead,
He said, panting.
but I saw something. Big birds circling about a quarter mile ahead. I've got a bad feeling, but I need to rest first.
There's no time to waste.
Rose exclaimed. The three of us girls took off in the direction he pointed. Within moments, we saw the large black birds swooping lower and lower.
Oh no, those are scavengers.
Rose cried.
I can't bear to see a dead puppy. No!
She froze and put her hands over her face in agony.
You're a biologist.
Tinky said.
You understand the cycle of life.
Rose looked down.
Which just makes it harder sometimes.
I touched her shoulder gently. If she's gone, then she's in a better place, I said quietly. Under my breath, I whispered a prayer. Please, let her be alive. As we rounded the final rocky ledge, a large bird touched down. Shoo! I shouted, flailing my arms and charging towards the bird. Get away! The bird lifted off in a loud rush of wings as we ran forward. Dread coiled in our throats. Then, movement. A soft whimper. A scruffy puff of fur tried to stand but toppled over. She lifted her head, eyes glazed with exhaustion. Her front paw was bent at an odd angle, and she was too weak to move on 3 legs. Oh, thank you, Jesus, I whispered.
Careful.
Tinky said, kneeling beside her.
That paw's definitely injured.
Rose poured a splash of water into her palm and held it close. The puppy's tail thumped weakly as she lapped it up. I pulled the hem of my shirt loose and gently swaddled the tiny girl inside like a hammock. She didn't resist. In fact, by the time we'd turned back toward the chemist's cavern, she was already asleep. Poor thing probably hadn't rested in days. We met back up with Adamus near the trail's edge. He was sprawled on a rock, cooling himself.
I don't know how you girls walk so much.
He groaned.
I'm exhausted.
Then he spotted the puppy and leapt to his feet.
You found her.
I smiled and stroked her soft little head. We did, and she's mine now.
You're keeping her?
Rose beamed.
What are you going to name her?
She seems like a Ruth to me. Loyal, brave, a survivor. I looked down at the tiny bundle. Ruthie. The pup blinked up at me, and I swear, if dogs could smile, she did in that moment.
I wish Dr. Gearsmith would let us have one too.
Rose sighed.
Wouldn't it be amazing? 2 siblings. They could be best friends.
There's no way that's happening.
Thomas said, deadpan.
A cat, maybe. But a dog, not a chance.
Back to Truthspire. Our rescue mission had taken nearly an hour, so I was bracing for a scolding. I rehearsed a plan to smooth things over with Aria, while Rose busied herself with a different mission, figuring out how to convince Gearsmith to let her bring another puppy back to Truthspire. As we neared the entrance to the chemist's cavern, Dixie trotted toward us, tail high, nose twitching at the bundle in my arms. Ruthie wriggled the moment she caught her mother's scent. I knelt and set her gently on the ground. Dixie nuzzled her pup, licking her face in quick, relieved bursts. The other pups bounded over, yipping with excitement, but I scooped Ruthie back up before they could jostle her injured paw. From inside, a sudden burst of applause echoed.
You did it!
Aria shouted as she rushed over to examine our little treasure. Gideon grinned and clapped Gearsmith on the shoulder.
I win the bet.
Rose was bent over playing with the wriggling puppies. She straightened.
Bet? What bet?
I said I believed you'd find that pup.
Gideon explained, beaming.
Archie and Hector doubted it. Stakes were high. The winner gets the rescued puppy.
Rose's eyes sparkled.
So?
Gearsmith sighed, smiling despite what he knew was a bad idea.
That was the bet? Yes?
Hector groaned.
This will never work. But I have no time to protest. We still have a ton of work ahead, and I'm ready to head back and get started.
Not so fast, I said, holding Ruthie close. This dog is mine. You'll have to pick another. Rose scooped up the smallest pup and grinned.
We want this one. Her name will be Dinky.
She squeezed the pup lovingly.
Because she is the smallest one.
And the cutest,
Gushed Aria as she tickled the tiny dog's ears.
Hold on.
Gearsmith said, raising a hand.
I begrudgingly agreed to 1 dog. 1.
This one goes home with me, I said firmly. Hector stepped in, hands raised like a referee.
Okay, fine. Maybe Ruthie stays at your apartment. But what happens when you visit Truthspire? You're with us constantly.
I'll bring her, I said quickly. In a kennel, on a leash. She won't be a problem, promise. Look how smart she is, you can just tell. Ruthie's bright blue eyes sparkled with intelligence. Gearsmith rubbed his temples.
Oh, geez. Gideon, if I'm not crazy yet, I will be soon.
Rose clutched Dinky to her chest.
So, we get to take her too, right?
Gearsmith groaned but nodded.
Against my better judgment.
Hector threw up his arms.
And mine. Those little beasts better not slow me down, or make any messes, or get in my way.
His voice trailed off, overpowered by the team's happy cheers. Gideon laughed and waved us toward the tunnel that weaved through the hard rock and spilled out into the hangar. The Tranquillum was waiting, already loaded with its precious tantalum payload. We quickly boarded and buckled in as Gideon stood by on the ground, looking sad to see his companions go. The old man waved goodbye.
Come back and see me.
He yelled over the plane's engines. On the flight back home, the plane hit a few pockets of turbulence, but no one noticed. We were too busy admiring our new furry passengers. Rose and Tinky inspected Ruthie's injured paw and discovered the culprit, a pebble wedged deep in her pad. Once it was removed, she relaxed completely and fell asleep in my lap. By the time we touched down at Truthspire, everyone was drained, except Hector, who'd napped through the entire trip. The moment we landed, he grabbed a crate of tantalum and disappeared into his lab, eager to resume work on the GPU build. Relief settled over the rest of us. The team's computing project was back on track. We had secured our energy resources on our last mission, and now with the hardware nearly ready, the next step would be the fun part, building the AI models. Rose carried Dinky to her greenhouse to spend the night until they figured out a more permanent situation, and I took Ruthie for her first drone ride back to my apartment. Another mission accomplished, safely recorded in the books. But as my drone skimmed over the ocean waves, I couldn't shake the thought that our next mission wouldn't be about finding what was lost. It would be about creating something entirely new, something powerful enough to change the world forever. And that probably wasn't going to be easy.